Good evening and welcome to A Woman's Perspective. Tonight we have a guest who we call the Baton Rouge Connection, the British Connection, the New Orleans Connection, and these days even the Bayou Connection. She's also a Yankee Connection. She has been all over the world. And Christine Lewis Vorley, our guest for this evening, has just come off of an adventure as Executive Director of 10,000 Small Businesses and Business Advisors to 10,000 Small Businesses, a Goldman Sachs grant that was given to Delgado Community College. And I know, Christine, before we get to questions about entrepreneurship, which I know that our viewing audience wants to know about, what is the story that you wanted to say about your experience with 10,000 Small Businesses?
In one word, it was awesome. It was a tremendous experience. And we had 30 scholars, which was the biggest cohort in the United States. New Orleans was the fourth city that the Goldman Sachs initiative was run in. We had 30 scholars, which was more than any other city so far.
Really?
There were over 100 applicants, so it was a hard decision to choose who we did select.
May I ask, what was your criteria?
The criteria, they had to be in business for 2 years. They had to be between 150 and 4.5 million. So not more than 4.5, not less than 150,000. So it was a huge span. And they had to have 4 employees or more. And they had to be positioned for growth. In other words, the whole point of this money that they put into the economy in New Orleans and across the United States was to grow the economy through revenue and through people being brought back into business. So these companies that were chosen had to be growth oriented. So, but the long and the short of it was we went through 5 months. It started February 25th, and the graduation was on June 6th. Warren Buffett came to speak. Michael Porter came to speak.
I know.
The CEO of Goldman Sachs.
I appreciate your inviting me too. I would have loved to meet Warren Buffett.
Brilliant.
I'm sure that we would have gotten along fabulously.
I think so. Yeah. We had a 50-person marching band. It was tremendous. But above everything else, it was the outcome of the 30 scholars. And they just, each one of them, to watch them grow through this program, to learn all the different building blocks, they were successful. They were all doing very well. But what they needed to do, they got to a plateau and they didn't know how to get to the next level. A lot, you have an idea, you start a company, you're still writing your checks out of your checkbook. You don't know how to take it to that next level. Some of them did, some of them didn't. Some of them were more sophisticated than others. But all of them had tremendous outcomes. And It was brilliant.
So you have taken this experience and you combined it with your own experiences. I mean, you have an HR background, human resources background. You have the background of having owned a small business before in Connecticut.
Right.
You have a worldwide experience in motivational speaking.
Right.
And so you're building relationships, managing employees, managing budgets and all. What are some of the criteria that you said as a business entrepreneur consultant that you would be looking at as you help small businesses?
I'm looking at, let me give you a couple of examples. A daycare center. A daycare center, there's a difference between a daycare center and a babysitting center. And so what I would be looking at is going into a daycare center, which is very popular. I mean, everybody's working, everybody needs somewhere to put their child where they know they're going to be well looked after. I can put my child in a place where they're going to be looked after and they're going to be babysit for and they're going to be cared for. Or I can put my child in a center which is going to help them developmentally and it's going to teach them all the different things they need to get ready for their preschool. So they need to get 4-star accreditation, or they need to get 3 stars. They need to be started on the accreditation route. They need to look at the programs that they're offering. They need to look at their staff. They need to run their center as a business. And sort of to back up a little bit, before I came to Louisiana 18 months ago to be close to my children, I had been a small business consultant for many years. But when I came down here, I wanted to buy a house. So I didn't have a client base here. I fell back in love with small business through the 10,000 small businesses, and I recognized and remembered how important it is that a small business owner, it's very lonely there, and there's nobody that, they're so busy doing that. It's very difficult to find like-minded people. It's very difficult to find somebody you can sit around a table with and say, hey, my revenues are doing this, or I have a problem with this, or I can't get this employee to do this, or should I do this? Or where do they go for that answer? And I loved doing that in Connecticut. I taught entrepreneurial skills at the community college in Hartford. So to come here and, I needed to make the contacts, I needed to find the resources, etc., which are incredibly important.
Well, I love the daycare center because we do have so many women, I told you this, who are even looking for second careers.
Right.
Listen, we baby boomers are the largest population that there is,
and none of us want to give it up. So we're all working.
We are not ready to go. Let's get let's give it to us.
We're going to work till we drop.
And young women too. That women want to be in business and they want to be leaders in business.
Yeah.
So give me at least a small litany of some of the skills that you would look at in helping a woman, whether it was, and I know that the skills are different in the way you employ them or you use them, but a new business or one that's been, I know you're more interested in businesses that have already started.
Right.
But you can have a babysitting business that's going very well and you want to go to the next step, which is daycare.
Exactly. So they've got to, the most important thing for anybody in business is to understand the financing. Finance is a picture. You paint the picture of your whole business through your financing. And a lot of people are scared, especially women. Women are scared of money. And so that's really, really, really very important. So the most important thing is that they get to understand they've got money coming in, what's the money going out? What's it costing to run this business? And then get real. And in business, when you're running your own business, you've got to look in that mirror and you've got to be really, really honest about what's going on. You can't kid yourself. So, for instance, you have a daycare and the daycare goes from 8 o'clock in the morning or 7:30 in the morning till 5:30. Why can't it go from 5:30 till midnight to do the second shift?
Oh, because so many women work at night.
That's right.
Nurses especially.
Exactly.
There is that problem.
Yeah.
Oh, what a
So
fabulous.
casinos, Walmart.
You think out of the box, my
Exactly.
girlfriend. Okay,
Exactly.
that must be a British movement.
That's it. There you go. So recently, I worked with a daycare, and we made them another $100,000. I made them another $100,000 a year by looking at the difference of doing the swing shift is what it's known as. So you have casinos, you have Walmart, you have all the companies, restaurants that do that 5:30 to midnight shift. So if you open that, your costs are already covered in the daytime. So you have perhaps two more employees that you need in the evening. Your meals aren't so big. Children are sleeping at nighttime. So it's a way of providing a tremendous service to parents, but at the same time expanding on your revenue.
Can you give a marketing tip for such a venture?
Well, people, and again, women say, I'm not in sales. I don't like sales. But the reality is, if you're going to have a business, you got to pull up your big girl pants. You're in sales. So they've got to go out and they've got to promote themselves. Write an article for the local newspaper. Go and knock on the doors, make a flyer, and make sure that you read it thoroughly, because if you buy a house, and you walk up to the house, and if the mailbox is crooked, and the weeds are on the front path, and the door's scratched, you go and look at the engine, the guts of the house. But if everything is nice, you don't even look at that. The reality is, it's the same with everything else. When you write a newsletter or you write a brochure, make sure that the spelling's correct, make sure that the grammar's correct. Just a flyer that you can give to each of the people when you come to give it to Mrs. Smith and Jack and John and all the parents of the people there, and you say, we need 10 more places, 10 more children for your friends for your children. So you go out and find them. So you give them a newsletter or a brochure that they can hand out. You need cards. Running a daycare is running a business.
Oh, I agree with that. Running anything
And
is
it's
running a
a
business.
hugely profitable business. In England, I was absolutely amazed. I was talking to somebody, an investor, about it, and he said, Christine, in England, it's one of the hottest investments that you can get into is daycare. There's a tremendous amount of money to be made, but you don't want money to be made at your child. You want to know that your child is going to be well looked after.
Well, we have a couple of questions from some Yankees that came in. And how do you help a business grow in troubled times?
Well, first of all, you've got to be realistic. First of all, you've got to have a very clear vision of where the company's going. Right? You've got to know very clearly where it's going, and a lot of people don't. A lot of people, they're going over here, but they're really over here, so you've got to have a very clear mission. You've got to explain that mission so that the people that work with you know why they're in business, and then they have to know what part of that business they're playing. So they've got to feel included in it. Growing a business in troubled times is all about being realistic, stepping outside of the box, brainstorming. Your people have great ideas. If I decide as the business leader, because I'm the leader, I own the company, that I'm going to do it this way and I'm going to do it this, how about asking your employees what they think? How do they think we should do it? What's the direction they think? Share ideas, do a SWOT analysis. I think SWOT analysis, what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses, what are the opportunities that your company has, what are the threats, and get them all involved. The more you involve your people, the more committed, the more loyal, the more engaged, the more they're willing to stop at the gas station and say, hey, I'm in a daycare center, or I work for a small manufacturing company, hey, here's my card. Make them the salesperson for your business. But honesty in bad times is the best policy. You've got to look in that mirror and say, okay, is this for real? Am I kidding myself? And if you and you've got to be able to understand those numbers. You can't be an ostrich. You've got to look at those numbers every single day.
So, and this is the way you keep momentum going. What do you do about motivating people to do this?
We know that of our communication, only 7% of the words that we talk, right?
That's why I use my hands. The whole audience knows what I'm saying when I use my hands.
So, you walk in and you're worried and you're a little bit, bent over, and you just, you're worried about what's going to happen. Then that's what your people, your clients see. It's what your employees see. So you have to get yourself going. When you step out of your house in the morning, when you get out of bed, you go to work, and you've got to have a great attitude. Not a ridiculous attitude, not a, oh my gosh, but a good, solid, I can do it.
Not a ridiculous attitude.
It's like, oh, everything's fine. I mean, you can't do that, because everything, they know that everything's not fine. But a positive, we can do this together. We can do this together. We're in this together attitude is tremendous.
Now, when is the point at which you show that things are serious and you stop smiling? Is there a point at which you do that? Like if you smile every day and there's a day you're not smiling,
actually,
don't they get the message?
You bring up a very good point. Emotional intelligence, which is a huge, very popular new sort of thing that's out there, philosophy that's out there, and is taught and being taken through organizations. Being serious and talking about the seriousness of something is very important, because they need to know. But there's a difference between the drama and the seriousness. The drama, we don't need that. We need the seriousness and the honesty. And hey, what are we going to do, guys? How are we going to do this? I've hugged.
No tears. Just. This is serious, and we can handle this
and
together.
We can handle it.
And I need your input.
Right.
And let's forget the drama. Yeah. We're not going to Laura's house tonight.
Right.
So, there's not going to be any drama. So, but I can see that. Christine, I think that you are a great motivator yourself. I think you have lots more to tell the Bayou region and New Orleans, and we go to so many parishes now. I think, Jason, you're going to put up Christine's information on the screen. If you're interested in talking to Christine about growing your business, you can go to Christine at lewis-varley.com. And do you have her phone numbers up there? Okay, there's a phone number, 860 869 2462. Those Brits never changed that area code. But Christy, but it's still not. An American.
Do I have a second to say one thing? That website is my old website that's up there right now. I've changed direction a little bit because I was very much into professional development, went all over the world doing that. I'm into the Entrepreneur's Coach. I will put that website up again, but the name of the company is the Entrepreneur's Coach.
The Entrepreneur's Coach.
Yeah.
Thank you, Christine Lewis Barley, the Entrepreneur's Coach. We were so glad to have you tonight.
Thank
you for being with us. Without you, there's no us. See you next week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.